Well, hello good people and welcome back to the channel. It's Friday night and you already know what time it is. It's time for another review of Ready to Love. This time, I'll be covering my thoughts and feelings on episode 5 of the DC season. Now going into this week's episode, the ladies have the power to decide which man has to go home at the end. And if you saw last week's review, then you pretty much know that Corey is my lock to go home this episode. So did Corey bite the dust? Stay tuned to find out. The episode starts off with Nephew Tommy meeting with all the women. He tells the women that he aims to hit the reset button and throw a pool party for everyone. The women seem to be excited with the idea, especially with the possibility of seeing all the men with their shirts off. So we get to the pool party, and I must say that the women are looking mighty nice, but they look a little conservative compared to previous season pool parties. The first scene we get is of Corey and Courtney. During the conversation, Courtney admits that none of the guys make her laugh like Corey does, and this impresses Corey. Corey then tells us as a viewing audience that his plan is to create some romantic gestures for Courtney at the pool party, in front of everyone might I add. Then he's going to go on a date with Mumin later on in the show, and he aims to show her his romantic side there. Now what on earth could possibly go wrong with this plan? Apparently a lot. At the pool party, Walter and Sabrina have their scene together, and they get a chance to flirt with one another. Camilla and Cornelius then have their scene together, and she's definitely marking her territory for the women to see. Later on at the pool party, Courtney is finding anonymous love notes with her name on it, but she doesn't know who they're from. Sadly for Corey, plenty of people saw what he did, and they're happy to snitch on him to Mumin. Tyrone and Shiloh then have their one-on-one, and he tells Shiloh that she's his number one. The admission takes Shiloh by surprise because she still wants to date other people, and she really isn't feeling Tyrone like that. Nephew Tommy then throws the curveball that we've seen from last week's previews, and he introduces Sydney and Sean as new participants on the show. Now right off the bat, Sydney appears to be pretty shapely, and her headlights are definitely showing through her bathing suit. Sean comes on the scene with his shirt open, and it catches the attention of all the women there. And for those viewing the video, I don't have a picture of Sean yet, but I will next week. Sydney and Sean meet with Sadia and Camille for a scene. They talk about their relationships, and Sadia and Camille waste no time excusing themselves from the conversation because Sean is paying more attention to Sydney than he is either of them. Frank and Sydney then have the scene together, and it appears that they know each other from before the show, which will be interesting down the line. Tyrone and Sabrina then have their one-on-one. Tyrone is upfront with Sabrina and telling her that he feels Shiloh could be his wife. Now upon seeing this, I had to tell myself, come on Tyrone, the men are up for elimination this week, and you're already burning a bridge to put all your eggs in the basket for someone who doesn't even claim you yet. Sydney and Cornelius then have their scene together. He notices that Camille is watching them, and we see Camille is visibly jealous and upset, talking to another participant and referring to Cornelius as her boyfriend. Camille pulls Cornelius to the side, and she reams him out for talking to Sydney, and she feels embarrassed and mad at him for talking to another woman. We can see Camille crying, but not a single tear rolled down her face. After the pool party, the singles are at a mixer, and we get a scene of Sean and Aisha. Sean admires her smile, and they have great conversation and chemistry together. Corey and Courtney then have a scene together, and he's spitting some good game, telling her that he's feeling her and that she inspires him to go above and beyond. There's some dancing at the party, and everybody seems to be having fun. The next day, Corey and Mumin have a date. Turns out that Tasia informed Mumin that Corey was the one sending love notes to Courtney. Mumin confronts Corey about the love notes, and the fool is deflecting, answering the question like he's in the Matrix. Instead of answering her question, he invites her to meet his parents so that he can become more emotionally invested. Mumin asks Corey if he's asked any of the other women to do that, and Corey deflects again, instead telling her that he's not worried about guys like Walter having his arm around her, to which I say Corey has a point. We then get a scene of a double date with Dante, Sydney, Cornelius, and Camille. Camille's crazy side is already peaking during the scene, and on this date, Sydney has the yams poking out. Dante and Sydney have their one-on-one, and it seems like they have instant connection. Camille and Cornelius talk about the pool party, and they talk about the issues surrounding it. Camille then apologizes to blowing things out of proportion, and Cornelius accepts her apology. We then get a scene of Aisha and Sean going out on a date, and he brings her flowers. Right off the bat, it seems like Aisha is warming up to Sean in a way that she didn't warm up to Frank. They dig deep, and they talk about the possibility of wanting kids at their age. During this conversation, it appears as if Aisha is all but telling Sean that she doesn't want to have any more kids. And if you ask me, she appears to be self-sabotaging because Sean doesn't meet 100% of her criteria. To which I say, that's her right, but she can't complain if she doesn't find any guys like that. So at the end of the week, the women meet up with Nephew Tommy to discuss their top and bottom picks. Shiloh has a connection with Tyrone and Phil. Sydney has a connection with Dante and Frank. Tasia even has a connection with Phil. Courtney discusses her connection with Corey and Cornelius, but then she talks about Corey's love notes. This catches the attention of Mumin, and then Mumin starts spilling everything. So as expected, Corey is in the bottom 3, but to my surprise, Sean and Tyrone are also in the bottom 3. So we get a dinner with Tyrone and Shiloh. She tells him how he's a great guy and how she admires him for picking her, but he's not ready to love. Tyrone takes his elimination like a G, but in my opinion, it's pretty ironic because Tyrone was indeed ready to love, but he was essentially punished for being too honest with his intentions. If he had just simply lied and strung the other woman along, then he would still be on the show. So the moral of the story with Tyrone and guys like him is that small lies will get you far in a relationship. Corey meets with Courtney, and she confronts him about his dishonesty throughout the last several days. I must admit that watching Corey squirm under pressure was pretty funny, but to my surprise, this episode was a double elimination for the men, and Corey got the boot. I wish I could feel sorry for Corey, but he brought this on himself. I initially picked him to go all the way, but if he had the maturity that the other men did, he would have went all the way. But as the saying goes, another one bites the dust. Overall, I give this episode a 6. While there were parts in the episode that were pretty predictable, the curveball was interesting, and I will definitely be tuned in to see how far the new participants shake things up going forward. So next week, there will likely be a double elimination for the women on the show, and my picks for those eliminations are Camille and Tasia. I initially picked Camille to go all the way, but she let her crazy show too soon, and that's how the cookie crumbles. So this marks the end of my review, but be sure to let me know what you thought about the episode or my review in the comment section below, and I'll be sure to reply to each and every comment. Until next time, stay tuned and stay safe. Peace.